pleased this morning to be joined by a close friend of NATA and the Air Charter Safety Foundation, Alison McHugh, Vice President of Safety and Quality at FEAM AERO. Good morning, Alison. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jillian. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you start off by just telling us about yourself and how you got your start in aviation?
Okay, so I am originally from the island of Jamaica, and I my goal was to be a pilot. That was my dream starting out, and I learned about Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University back in Jamaica. We had a summer course for pilots, those that were interested in being pilots at one of the flight schools there. Learned about Embry-Riddle and said, yes, I want to be a pilot. I look great in a pilot uniform, and I want to say, yes, welcome. This is your captain speaking. So that was the initial trigger for me. Went to my father and said, I want to be a pilot. He looked at me and said, absolutely not. I have three sons, one daughter. Why do you want to fly planes? So I was a bit persistent, and my parents allowed me to do that course, and I applied to Embry-Riddle, got in, started there in 2002. And at the time, it was right after 9/11. So, as an international student, we all got letters saying we were not able to be trained at the airline concentration anymore. That was one of the concentrations under the aeronautical science degree. So, it was either change the concentration to military, corporate, or change your degree. So a decision had to be made, and I researched other degrees, and I saw an aeronautical systems maintenance degree where you could be an A&P mechanic, and it also offered the concentration in flight. So I said, well, if I can fly it and fix it, I must can get a job, right? So that's how I ended up doing my bachelor's at Embry-Riddle in aeronautical systems maintenance with a concentration in flight. And then I got an opportunity, got a graduate assistantship to do my master's. So I did my master's in aeronautics with a concentration in safety and aviation management. From there, I got an internship with NATA actually, and the Air Charter Safety Foundation. Did my interview with the late Russ Lawton. He was my first boss after graduating from Embry-Riddle. So I started out as an intern there, and it turned into a full-time position. And I was with NATA as a manager of regulatory affairs, and with the Air Charter Safety Foundation as manager of safety programs, working with Part 135 operators to implement SMS, do education, training, and developing an audit program for them for safety management system, that program at the time. So that is how I started out. And after I left the Air Charter Safety Foundation, I moved back to Florida in 2012 and joined FEAM. At the time, it was called F&E Aircraft Maintenance, the abbreviation for FEAM FEAM. Now it's called FEAM AERO. So I've been with them for the past 10 plus years. Yes, that's my start.
Okay, so you're at FEAM Era right now, and it's my understanding that you started out as a safety coordinator and are now the Vice President of Safety and Quality. Can you tell us about your career journey?
Sure. My career journey has been quite interesting with FEAM. Just for those who don't know, FEAM is a Part 145 MRO, and we provide line maintenance service up to A checks for air operators. So we have about 34 locations across the US, over 1,300 employees. I started out in 2012 as a safety coordinator. The main task was to implement safety management system SMS for the company. At the time, it's still for MROs a voluntary program, but the company saw the need that this was beneficial to have to enhance the growth of safety within the company, and also with the customers that we have, it was starting to be a requirement from them. So that was how I started out with FEAM as a safety coordinator there. When I started at the time, it was 8 stations. That's what we had. And then we had tremendous growth shortly after, where we're now at 34. So I've held roles in FEAM from safety coordinator to quality assurance manager. I then was promoted to the director of quality, safety, and training, and then vice president of safety and regulatory compliance, and recently vice president of safety and quality. So it has been quite an experience. It's a company where I never get bored. I must say, there is a lot to do. We're a 24/7 operation, and being having such a broad range of locations in the U.S. And dealing with quite a variety of customers, because we're not only focused on US certification. We have the FAA, EASA, but we have around 10 other certifications and a lot of international customers. So there's a lot of regulatory compliance, quality assurance, and safety that we have to be on top of to remain competitive and provide our customer satisfaction. So that's sort of my journey with FEAM.
Okay. And with you being in the role that you are now in, I know that you know all too well that workforce is a number one challenge across the aviation industry. Um, can you let me know what your thoughts are on how diversity and inclusion can help with this issue?
Sure. So diversity and inclusion, for me right now, it's a necessity.
Mhm.
So um, if we're very practical, the aviation industry in the past, it has always predominantly been a white male dominated industry.
Mhm.
Now we're seeing that we have a lot of shortages due to not having a great pipeline that was there, years ago, feeding into the industry. Most people that got involved in aviation, they had a family member, someone, whether they were in the military or they were a pilot, that brought that awareness to them. So you sort of grew in a family, or some relatives that made you aware of aviation, and then the focus was like a pilot, right? um, with diversity and inclusion, now we are expanding so much. There's so much technology advancements going on that the pipeline is not there, and it's not sufficient to fill the roles that we need. So we need to be getting a broader talent base, and that translates, just to name a few, from age, gender, race, ethnicity, that was not necessarily looked on intentionally before, but now the push is there because of where we are in the industry. With the shortage, we definitely need to be targeting communities that may not have had that awareness before, underserved communities that in their high schools, in their the college communities, their aviation is not really known and advertised and promoted. So we need this kind of push to have a diverse pool where we can have innovation, creativity, at the table, where you have a diverse setting, female, male, race, different age ranges. Your company benefits from that. Their ideas that are never that weren't thought about before. Solutions that are brought up from a more diverse group of people being involved and working together, and not just being diverse, but the inclusion aspect of knowing that your voice is valued, your ideas are considered, where your employees then have, great morale in working with the company, to know that, all right, I work for a company where my opinion is counted, it's heard, it's valued, and employees then will go above and beyond, to continue working with that company, and ensuring that the vision and the goals are met. So I think diversity and inclusion is definitely necessary in this time, and companies need to be very intentional about their talent pool and how they go about attracting new employees, and even retaining their employees that are currently there.
I know that you said that you were initially interested in becoming a pilot. Was that opportunity presented to you? How did you come to learn about being a pilot, or was that just something that was always something that you were drawn to from the beginning?
So initially, it was something I was drawn to at the beginning because my mom used to take me on summer vacations. We would have trips to Canada every summer. Her sister lives there, and that was my introduction in terms of flying, seeing the pilots board the plane. At that time, from Jamaica to Toronto, there was the Boeing 747. Right, that was one of the airplanes Air Canada used to use, and I was in awe at this big airplane. I was like, wow. And she said, I turned to her one day and said, I will be flying that. So that was my initial interest there. And I
Okay.
saw the uniform and I said, I could rock that uniform. So may not be, the common the common desire for others in terms of wanting to be a pilot, but that was mine. It was like,
Okay.
I want to fly that big plane and I'm going to look good in that uniform.
I love that.
However, so that's what got me started. And I then went to Embry-Riddle and I learned about being an aircraft mechanic and getting my airframe and power plant. And I was always hands on in my younger years, and like I didn't want a office job at all. And I wanted to be doing something different. I didn't want a typical office job. And when I got introduced to the maintenance part and being involved in the classes, I absolutely loved it. So it's although I did both areas in my studies, um, I sort of my pathway didn't take me into flying as a career. So that is something also, I'll tell anyone that I'm talking to that's interested in the field that you may have this vision, you may have this dream, but it might not pan out exactly how you would like. And so I did my piloting, but then I was introduced to Russ Lawton with ACSF and then introduced to safety. And I liked it. I absolutely love the safety aspect of aviation and getting involved, still being around airplanes and being able to use all aspects of my education, the piloting side, the maintenance side, within the job I'm doing now. For me, I was satisfied, you know. So yes, I didn't have the career path for the pilot, presented to me after I graduated. I got the opportunity to head in safety, and I just sort of stayed in that field ever since.
Okay. Awesome. Can you just give me any advice that for those who are just joining the aviation industry, like what would you tell them?
So I would tell them first, stemming off of what we just spoke about, be open to other opportunities than what you originally had in mind. You never know where it may take you. But above all, being prepared, being disciplined in your goals, your vision, what you want to do, doing your research, keep learning. These are things that you have to continue doing. There's so much within the aviation industry. There's so many different career paths that you can get into that you may not be aware of. The formal education part, they only cover so much. That's understandable. But once you get in with a company, learn about the different departments, learn about the different areas, and see where you can help, where you can be a solution. Because the reality is companies are looking for people to come in and solve a problem, right?
Mhm.
So being that solution, coming with your ideas, um, that is beneficial to a company, but being persistent, focused, and disciplined in your approach in how you work will also translate into your job because you're building a brand. You're building your self brand when you start, even from you're in college, you start working. You're building that brand off, your work ethic, your character, and the product that you produce. So being intentional, disciplined, focused, and making sure that your work speaks for yourself it in the most excellent manner that it can, do the best that you can, you'll be successful in this industry or any industry. It doesn't even matter. These are just general disciplines and focus that you need to have. For the aviation specific, as I said, it be open to opportunities and doors that come your way. It may not look like what you envision starting out in, but it can take you, you know, into different paths and, into different promotions that you never dreamed of. Because as I said, my goal was to be a pilot. And now I'm working with an MRO as the Vice President of Safety and Quality. So, be open to that. Those open doors that don't look like what you thought it would look like.
Well, Allison, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was great talking with you, Jillian.
You too. All right, Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.